Let us for a few minutes pray to Sri Ramakrishna for peace and harmony of the whole humanity. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Stapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmasvarupine Stapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmasvarupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te Namah. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya pratyorma mritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been discussing some of the topics taken from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Today's topic I have chosen, refinement of character. Why spiritual life seems to be very difficult is because we are not paying attention to refine our character. It's very simple. Truth is always simple. So, Sri Ramakrishna is very emphatic about this particular aspect, refinement of character. It means it is very essential to change one's worldly nature into spiritual. The crown and glory of life is character. Spiritual character must be cultivated to accomplish spiritual goals in life. So, refinement of character. Sri Ramakrishna says in the Gospel, thinking of God day and night, one acquires God's nature. The mind is like white linen just returned from the laundry. It takes on the color you dip it in. First is the purification of the mind. Afterwards, if you direct the mind to the contemplation of God, it will be colored by God consciousness. Again, if you direct the mind to worldly duties, such as the acting of a play, it will be colored by worldliness. Sri Ramakrishna said to one devotee, Mr. Banerjee, Sri Ramakrishna said to him, you know very well the suffering of the world. You suffer whenever you accept enjoyment. As long as the kite kept its fish in its beak, it was tormented by the flock of crows. One finds peace of mind in the company of holy persons. The alligator remains under water a long time, but every now and then it rises to the surface and breathes with a deep, wheezing noise. Then it gives a sign of relief. Keep your mind on God. Don't forget Him. God will certainly reveal Himself to you. Pray to Him with sincerity. Again, Sri Ramakrishna says, you acquire the nature of the people whose company you keep. By looking at trees, a man awakens in his heart the picture of a hermitage in which a rishi is practicing austerity. Whenever you see a beautiful landscape, mountain, lakes and trees, you immediately experience a kind of indescribable peace in your heart. We must acquire good nature, without which spiritual life is not possible and spiritual path is far away. So, character must be refined. Never say, my character is like this, I have no hope. If you say you don't have hope, you will never have hope. That's not the way. You must have a positive attitude and you must take up whatever necessary to improve your character. A man is what his character is. And his character is a sum total of what his instincts and aptitudes, his ideal and outlook, his habits and patterns of behavior, and his leanings and sympathies are. It is not easy to put it in a simple and straight way that a particular man's character is this or that. Character is too complex for any such oversimplified characterization. Its expressions are not easily predictable. Its cause is not easily foreseeable. It has its roots far deep in human nature, and all its possibilities and peculiarities are not there on the surface for all to see. Character is almost not utterly unalterable in the case of many, but it is also it can also be improved provided it is treated by an expert in the right way. Education, a great thinker said, has for its object the formation of character. A teacher has therefore to be a molder, a fashioner, a near creator, and so it is difficult to play the role of a teacher. Education, however, is not what the teacher pumps into the pupil, but is what the pupil, guided by the teacher, manifests of his own accord and brings out of his own self. In the words of Swami Vivekananda, the child educates itself. One's character is therefore one's own making. What is said to be inherited is also one's own making in a previous incarnation. Man is therefore master of himself. He can shape himself well or ill. He has not to praise or blame any other agency for what he is. Character develops or deteriorates, not in spurts, but continuously. Every little doing has its favorable or adverse effect on it. Occasional outbursts of dazzling behavior are no clue to character. Swami Vivekananda, who knew human nature in all its mystery, deals with this feature of life in a telling way. Swamiji says, "As I grow older, I find that I took more and more for greatness in little things. I want to know what a great man eats and wears and how he speaks to his servants. I want to find a Sir Philip Sidney greatness. Few men would remember the thirst of others even in the moment of death. But anyone will be great in a great position. Even the cowards will grow brave in the glare of the footlights. The world looks on, whose heart will not throb, whose pulse will not quicken till he can do his best. More and more, the true greatness seems to me that of the worm doing its duty silently, steadily, from moment to moment and hour to hour. So, a man's character is not what he does and what he is when all eyes are on him, but what he feels and what he performs when he is alone and unobserved, except of course by the ever-seeing eyes of God. Character has to be built inch by inch, and among the many aids to its building, the most powerful is the impulse of religion, though only a very few are aware of this fact. The man who doesn't conform to a stern discipline in life can never succeed in forming a worthy character. Soft and indulgent self-love, which condones every blemish and error in oneself, is of great disservice to character building. Sternness, when it is directed to oneself, is a great virtue. Temptation is a test of character. Character is always an expression of immense soul power. If there is cosmic moral law governing the universe, character is a form of its operation in individual. Even art is sublime or grotesque according to as the artist's character is immaculate or stained. It is not necessary that a man of character is a success in society. Poverty may assail him. Failure may be his lot in business or profession. He may be mocked at or pitied by the more fortunate folk. But all this will be amply compensated, in his case, by the wealth of a clean conscience and the self-satisfaction of upright behavior. An individual's character is not merely an affair of his. It has its social value. For nations, destiny is ultimately dependent on individual character. Character is basically the outcome of personal exertion, the fruit of self-effort. It is not always passed down from father to son. If so, Prahlad, a great character in the Bhagavad, he would not have been what he was. It is not always related to any abundance of earthly possessions. If so, there is another character, Kuchela. in Bhagavad, he would have been different from what he was. It is not always shaped by formal and theoretical book learning. If so, Latu, the direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, who became Adbhutanandaji later on, he would not have become an Adbhutananda. As a thinker has remarked, character alone is the whole reality of a man. Other things in a man are the appendages, not the essence. Character is not a thing which changes with environment. There's another character, Harishchandra. He was the same in prosperity and in the direst adversary. Nobility can never be ignoble wherever it is placed. A man with an excellent character is not only a boon unto himself, he is a rare gift to society. The biggest service a man does to humanity is perfecting his own character. There is no blessed service a flower does to the world, blossoming itself to perfection, leaving the world to catch its fragrance and benefit by it. The flower need not go about advertising its scent and soliciting admirers. What contributes to longevity and permanence is character. This is as true of individuals as of communities and nations. When character gets vitiated, the door to decrepitude and ruin is already opened. As Swami Vivekananda remarks, referring to history, we see that only that fragment which is fit will survive, and what makes fit to survive but character. Character has to be assiduously built up step by step. There is no shortcut to it. Initial failures need not frighten or dishearten us. We must see to it that our first resolve to perfect our character is not shaken by any number of slips and falls. Great work, as said by Swami Vivekananda, requires great and persistent effort for a long time. And character perfecting is great work indeed. The Swami, from his vast experience of men and things, and from his intuition also has pointed out, the road to good is the roughest and steepest in the universe. It is a wonder that so many succeed. No wonder that so many fail. Character has to be established through 1,000 stumbles. The greatest possible influence on a human soul is the influence of another soul, of course, in every way greater, nobler, more perfect than the soul to be influenced. Other factors like holy study, ritual or mental worship, austerity and penance, service to the suffering and the distressed, psychic self-restraint are no doubt helpful, but are not so potent as Mahapurusha Samshayaha, an enlightened soul's active interest and gracious assistance. A lamp can be lighted only by another burning lamp. Again, Swami Vivekananda, he was once asked, how is harmonious development of character to be best effected? And he quickly and unambiguously answered, by association with persons whose character has been so developed. That's why all the spiritual teachers have said, be associated with holy people. be always in touch with the spiritual ideas. Be always conscious about your spiritual format. Vedanta extols the virtue of renunciation, that is sacrifice. Tyaga is man's noblest duty. The more of Tyaga there is in a man, the greater is he in the domain of the spiritual. The Vedas clearly say that Tyaga is a way to immortality. Tyage naike amrtatva manashuhu, Upanishad says. If you study the life of the world's luminaries, they are all great Tyagis. If you take our great character, Sri Ramchandra, the incarnation, he was the undisputed heir to the throne, but he renounced his claim without even a murmur of protest. If you read Ramayana, you will know how Sri Ramchandra distributed everything, whatever he had, to the people, and then left to the forest. Bharat acquired a right to the throne, maybe through his mother's stratagem, but he spurned his right. To Buddha, the discovery of a way to the cessation of mankind's sorrow was of far greater urgency and compulsion than inheriting a kingdom which was his by right of birth, or keeping happy a wife to whom he was her everything in life. So Buddha left the place, left the palace, what others would have hugged with pride and joy. Swami Vivekananda says, the first great thing to accomplish is to establish a character, to obtain, as we say, the pratishtita prajna, established wisdom. So, our focus should be how to perfect our character. So that is the first initial step, very important step, to enter into the realm of spirituality. Without character, spiritual life is impossible. And so people may talk of spirituality, but it remains simple talk only. Unless one is perfected in character, one cannot realize the beauty and glory of spiritual life. So the teachers come, Mahatmas come, they show us the way to purify ourselves. So the discipline is required in order to purify oneself. So first, that urge for spiritual life must be kindled. Once that urge is awakened, the next step would be to concentrate how best one could perfect one's character. As I said in the beginning, as it stands, the mind runs after the world, runs after things of the world, runs after name, power, position, runs after all these things external, totally forgetting the glory of one's own inner nature. So the character is vitiated on account of this external activity, and in a way the character is deformed. So, as I said, you have to have spiritual format to proceed in the spiritual path. So that is given by the spiritual teachers. The methods are shown. Everything is kept open. The only thing is we must be very sincere in pursuing the spiritual path. When the sincerity is there, you definitely make a resolve to perfect yourself. So first pay all attention to purify yourself. Everything follows up automatically. You don't have to worry. You don't have to bother about the result. Result will come by itself. Take care of the means. The end will come. Glorious end will come. Just like you cultivate the land, sow the seed, take care, watering, removing the weeds, trying to see it gets proper sunlight. So when you give attention to all these aspects, you will see how the result would come, and you'll be in ecstasy to see the blooming sprout. So, refinement of character is what is very essential. That's why Sri Ramakrishna says, always constantly repeat God's name. Constantly. It means sometimes you may not think of God. Those moments may be used up in a wrong way, and there's every possibility you may slip down and you may get into accident. So, if you constantly remember God, you'll be free from all accidents, and though you are in the world, though you are amidst activities and carrying on all your duties and responsibilities, still you will be at peace, since you will be constantly repeating God's name and connecting yourself to God. That's very, very essential. The more you repeat God's name, the more you are refining yourself. And when the refinement is complete, you get the vision of God and you get liberation. Master said, reasoning is one of the paths. It is a path of the Vedantis. Page 700. But there is another path, the path of bhakti. If a bhakta weeps longingly for the knowledge of Brahman, he receives that as well. These are the two paths, jnana and bhakti. One may attain the knowledge of Brahman by either path. Some retain bhakti even after realizing Brahman in order to teach humanity. An incarnation of God is one of these. A man cannot easily get rid of the ego and the consciousness that the body is the soul. It becomes possible only when through the grace of God he attains samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi, jada samadhi. The ego of the incarnations returns to them when they come down from the plane of samadhi. But then it is the ego of knowledge or the ego of devotion. Through the ego of knowledge, they teach men. Shankaracharya kept the ego of knowledge. Through the ego of devotion, Chaitanya Dev tasted divine love and enjoyed the company of the devotees. He talked about God and chanted his name. Since one cannot easily get rid of the ego, a bhakta doesn't explain away the states of waking, dream and deep sleep. He accepts all the states. Further, he accepts the three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. A bhakta sees that God alone has become the 24 cosmic principles, the universe and all its living beings. He also says that God reveals himself to his devotees in a tangible form, which is the embodiment of spirit. The bhakta takes shelter under Vidya Maya. He seeks holy company, goes on pilgrimage, and practices discrimination, devotion, and renunciation. He says that since a man cannot easily get rid of the ego, he should let the rascal remain as a servant of God, the devotee of God. But a bhakta also attains the knowledge of Brahman, knowledge of oneness. He sees that nothing exists but God. He doesn't regard the world as a dream, but says that it is God himself who has become everything. In a wax garden, you may see various objects, but everything is made of wax. But a man realizes this only when his devotion to God has matured. One gets jaundice when too much bile accumulates. Then one sees everything as yellow. From constantly meditating on Krishna, Radhika saw everything as Krishna. Moreover, she even felt that she herself had become Krishna. If a piece of lead is kept in a lake of mercury a long time, it turns into mercury. The cockroach becomes motionless by constantly meditating on the Kumira worm. It loses the power to move. At last it is transformed into a Kumira. Similarly, by constantly meditating on God, the bhakta loses his ego. He realizes that God is he and he is God. When the cockroach becomes the Kumira, everything is achieved instantly. One obtains liberation. As long as God retains the ego in a man, he should establish a definite relationship with God, calling on him as master, mother, friend, or the like. I spent 1 year as a handmaid, the handmaid of the Divine Mother, the embodiment of Brahman. I used to dress myself as a woman. I put on a nose ring. One can conquer lust by assuming the attitude of a woman. One must worship the Adya Shakti. She must be propitiated. She alone has assumed all female forms. Therefore, I look on all women as mother. The attitude of looking on women as mother is very pure. The Tantra mentions the Vamachara method also, but that is not a good method. It causes the aspirant's downfall. A devotee keeping an object of enjoyment near him has reason to be afraid. Looking on woman as mother is like fasting on the Ekadashi day without touching even a drop of water. In this attitude, there is not the slightest trace of sensual enjoyment. Another way of observing Ekadashi allows the taking of fruit and the like. One can also observe the day by eating luchi and curries. But my attitude is not to touch even a drop of water while I observe the fast. I worship the Shodashi as my mother. I looked on all parts of her body as those of my mother. This attitude of regarding God as mother is a last word in sadhana. O God, thou art my mother and I am thy child. This is the last word in spirituality. The sannyasi's way of living is like observing a Ekadashi fast without taking even a drop of water. If he clings to enjoyment, then he has reason to be afraid. Women and gold is enjoyment. If a monk enjoys it, he is swallowing his own spittle, as it were. There are different kinds of enjoyment: money, wealth, name, fame, and sense pleasures. It is not good for a sannyasi to sit in the company of a woman devotee or even to talk to her. This injures him and others as well. Then others cannot learn from him. he cannot set an example to humanity. A sannyasi keeps his body in order to teach mankind. To sit with a woman and talk to her a long time has also been described as a kind of sexual intercourse. There are 8 kinds. To listen to a woman and enjoy her conversation is one kind. To speak about a woman is another kind. To whisper to her privately is a third kind. To keep something belonging to a woman and enjoy it is a fourth kind. To touch her is a fifth. Therefore, a sannyasi should not salute his guru's young wife touching her feet. These are the rules for sannyasis. But the case is quite different with householders. After the birth of 1 or 2 children, the husband and wife should live as brother and sister. The other 7 kinds of sexual intercourse do not injure them much. A householder has various debts to the gods, to the fathers, and to the rishis. He also vows a debt to his wife. He should make her the mother of 1 or 2 children and support her if she is a chaste woman. Householders do not know who is a good wife and who is a bad wife, who is a Vidya Shakti and who is an Avidya Shakti. A Vidya Shakti, a good wife, has very little lust and anger. She sleeps little. She pushes her husband's head away from her. She is full of affection, kindness, devotion, modesty, and other noble qualities. Such a wife serves all, looking on all men as her children. Further, she helps increase her husband's love of God. She doesn't spend much money lest her husband should have to work hard and thus not get leisure to think of God. Mannish women have different traits. These are bad traits: squint eyes and hollow eyes, cat-like eyes, lantern jaws, like a calf's and pigeon's breast. Girish, what's the way for people like us? Master said, Bhakti is the only essential thing. Bhakti has different aspects, the sattvic, the rajasic and the tamasic. One who has sattvic bhakti is very modest and humble, but a man with tamasic bhakti, he is like a highwayman in his attitude towards God. He says, O God, I am chanting your name, how can I be a sinner? O God, you are my own mother, you must reveal yourself to me. Girish smilingly said, it is you, sir, who teaches tamasic bhakti. Master smiling, there are certain signs of God vision. When a man sees God, he goes into samadhi. There are 5 kinds of samadhi. First, he feels the Mahavayu, the great nerve current whose rising is felt in the spinal column. Second, he feels it rise like a fish swimming in the water. Third, he feels it rise like a snake wriggling along. Fourth, he feels it rise like a bird flying from one branch to another. Fifth, he feels it rise like a monkey making a big jump. The Mahavayu reaches the head with one jump, as it were, and samadhi follows. There are 2 other kinds of samadhi. First, the sthita samadhi, when the aspirant totally loses outer consciousness. He remains in that state a long time. It may be for many days. Second, the unmana samadhi, it is to withdraw the mind suddenly from all sense objects and unite it with God. To Master Mahasaya, Sri Ramakrishna said, do you understand this? Yama answered, yes, sir. Girish, can one realize God by sadhana? Master, people have realized God in various ways. Some through much austerity, worship and devotion. They have attained perfection through their own efforts. Some are born perfect, as for example Narada and Shukadev. They are called Nitya Siddha, eternally perfect. There are also those who have attained perfection all of a sudden. It is like a man's unexpectedly coming into a great fortune. Again, There are instances of peoples realizing God in a dream and by divine grace. Saying this, Sri Ramakrishna sang intoxicated with divine fervor. Can everyone have the vision of Shyama? Is Kali's treasure for everyone? Oh, what a pity my foolish mind will not see what is true. Sri Ramakrishna remained in ecstasy a few moments. Girish and the other devotees were seated before him. A few days earlier, Girish had been very rude to the master at the Star Theatre, but now he was in a calm state of mind. Master said to Girish, "This mood of yours is very good. It is peaceful. I prayed about you to the Divine Mother. Oh Mother, make him peaceful so that he won't abuse me." I shall stop here. Any question? Anyway, what is important is character formation, refinement of character, purification of the heart. Then you will understand all these subtle spiritual values. It is very fundamental and very essential. With established character, you will be able to go further fast in the spiritual path, and then you will be able to reach the goal. That's all. No question? All right, we shall stop. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within. O name streamed down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self, drowned deep in the waves of his bliss, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name, that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue. The playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy, consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Oh, how I long for the day when an instant's separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou, who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere, may all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time. May the earth be blessed with crops. May all countries be freed from calamity. May holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.